That's got the word in 3.
Ooh, did you tell her I got it in two?
No, no one cares. No one cares. Okay.
I
You don't want to be
care.
like that woman we met today.
No,
Oh,
no.
that's
Okay.
that's
I
the
just,
yeah,
I just got
crowing
shamed.
about crowing about getting the world in 2 is the slippery slope that leads you to where that woman is. Okay. You don't want to do that.
No, we do not want to go there. You're absolutely correct, Chuck Kaplinski. Thank you. And on
You're
that
welcome.
note, welcome to Real Talk with Chuck and Pam. We've had an exciting and very, very busy week, haven't we?
Yeah, and it's been a couple busy weeks. I mean, we haven't done this in a couple weeks. I mean, it's sometimes life gets in the way.
It does. It does. And that's okay. So we're going to play a little catch up on life right now. Not going to put a little catch up on life, but we're going to play catch up. So where do you want to start today?
I don't know. We've got a lot to talk about. We want to start light or heavy?
Let's start light.
Light. Okay. Well, how about confess Fletch then?
Let's say, and so we are both chuckling because neither one of us can say confess
Fletch.
Fletch. Flesh, as Marcia
Fletch.
Gay Harden in her character of the Countess says, flesh. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay, so this is, and I had forgotten that Chevy Chase was Fletch.
You know
Completely.
why?
Why?
Because they're forgettable.
Apparently so. I think John Hamm actually elevates it a little bit and brings it out of that slapstick stupidity into something that's just fun. And to
Well,
me,
he's a much better actor.
okay, I'll give you that too. And John Hamm really is a very versatile actor. He can, in my mind, do it all. Did I ever tell you the story about running into him on the streets of Park City? I'll tell you about that another time, but remind me to tell you.
You have told me, but I would willingly hear it again because it's a
um,
good story.
but yeah, John Hamm just shows us that he can do anything and everything, and I think he really does elevate the role of Fletch. And Fletch is this kind of bumbling journalist who stumbles.
No, 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 no.
What?
He's an investigative journalist of some renown.
Of some renown, not a lot of renown, just some. And those are the like key little quips that are made during the entire film that just make you laugh out loud. And he plays Fletch. I am Fletch, who stumbles upon a murder. He is renting out a place, and there's a bottle of wine, there's a welcome note, and oopsie daisy, there happens to be a dead body in the middle. Well, turns out that this dead body in the middle of his living room, as Detective Monroe and his trainee Grizz, played by Ray Wood and Aidan Mayari, who has a great role in this, by the way. Both of them together, and then interacting with Fletch, who is the prime suspect in this murder because he called this murder in and he is at this apartment where there is a murder victim. Turns out there's also a piece of stolen art, and the father of Fletch's girlfriend, Angela, played by Lorenza Izzo, who has been kidnapped, and the ransom is this Picasso painting. So it's a convoluted story. All these crazy characters come together, and even though Fletch is the prime suspect, he thinks he's actually the prime investigator here, and he is going to solve the murder. This is just downright fun. And we've got people like Kyle MacLachlan, Marcia Gay Harden, who plays the Countess.
Yes.
The Countess. And oh my goodness, does she have fun, and what I would do for the role that she played in this. John Slattery, and I mean, just an incredible cast of characters. And the woman who plays this babbling next door neighbor, Eve, Annie Malolo. Oh my gosh.
She steals that scene. God,
so
I
much
was laughing out loud.
Right? So this is it was just nonstop fun. It is silly. Yes, it is total escapism. It never takes itself too seriously, but it remembers to tell a story. And I really give this film a lot of credit.
Me too. I can't remember the last time I had so much fun.
Right?
And it was exactly what I needed when I saw it. Yeah, Hamm is great. And I know that I think there's 9 books in this series. And I'm hoping somehow or another he does this a couple more times.
I hope so too.
I would love to see him in this role.
Chevy Chase did two Fletch movies, is that right?
Right.
And the
Yeah.
second one was such a bomb that he like disappeared after that, right?
Yeah, they gave up the films at that point. Yeah. Um, yeah, I tell you, I wasn't expecting much, but boy,
Mhm.
I was thoroughly entertained. And you know what? In the end, it doesn't matter who killed the girl. It doesn't matter who stole the paintings. I mean, that's
I
just the
don't even
MacGuffin.
remember.
Yeah, that's the MacGuffin to get things moving.
Right.
It's all about character interactions, and just all these characters are just fodder for Fletch's acerbic humor. And yeah, I would watch this again, quite frankly. And I usually don't say that. It was a lot of fun.
It was. I'm glad. Oh my God, Chuck, what's happening? We're agreeing on movies.
Well, I think that's going to end real quickly.
Okay. All right. So why don't you take us to the next one then?
Well, it's funny. We've got two murder mysteries this week.
Right.
Con confess, Fletch. Boy,
Can
that's
you
hard
say
to
it
say.
again for me, please?
Confess, Fletch, confess, Fletch, confess, Fletch. There we go. I almost made it. And
Flush.
then see how they run.
Okay.
And see how they run. I watched the commercials, I watched the trailers and everything, and I was like, wow, this is a Wes Anderson film
Right.
because it certainly has that visual look to it. I mean, there's no question about it. It has, a wide cast, a couple big names, not the sorts of names that Anderson is able to pull in, but a diverse
Right.
cast. And it just has that whole feel to it. I thought from looking at the trailer, but I thought it felt a little bit different as I watched this movie. We've got Sam Rockwell, and he plays an inspector in England. We're talking post World War II, 1950s, Inspector Stoddard. And he has been partnered with Constable Stalker, played by Saoirse Ronan. And they couldn't be more opposite. And they have to solve a mystery that takes place in a theater, the theater where Agatha Christie's Mousetrap is in its run. And a film director has been brought in, played by Adrian Brody, by the name of Leo Kopernik, and he's been murdered. He wants to change this play drastically when he adapts it into a film, and in doing so, he has upset quite a few people, including Mervyn Norris, played by David Oyelowo, who is the playwright or the guy who wrote the screenplay for the film. He wants to make changes, which aren't good. Ruth Wilson plays Petula Spencer, who owns the theater, and she has her own reasons for wanting this movie not to be made. And then there's Richard Attenborough, the real actor, played by Harrison Dickinson. And he takes offense when the director starts flirting with his wife, Sheila Sim, played by Pearl Chanda. So we've got plenty of suspects. But the thing that I think makes this movie work for me is the interactions between Rockwell and Ronan. To me, they're the whole film.
They are.
He has a past. He's a bit of a drinker. There's a few things going on. He's cynical. It's a struggle for him to get through the day, and she is just this bundle of energy. She's so eager. She's so innocent. She wants to solve this crime, and she always thinks it's this, that, and the other. And he says, no, don't jump to conclusions. Don't jump. And I love the backstory that the screenwriter Mark Chappell gave them. They're not just cardboard characters. We get to know them. We get to know what makes them tick. And I like them so much. I would love to see this pair as well in other movies, to see how their characters develop. Not in a romantic way. I don't think that's appropriate.
No.
But just to see their interactions grow, I think would be really, really interesting. And the one thing I liked about the film is just how postmodern it is. I mean, it tells you exactly what a mystery is, and then it deconstructs all those elements of the mystery, and then it gives us a mystery as well. So there's a lot of layers going on, and you've got a lot of fiction and reality colliding. I looked it up. Attenborough and Sim apparently were in the original production of The Mousetrap.
Okay.
They were actually in this thing. It's based on an actual murder, and when you look at Rockwell's character is named Stoppard. Well, Tom Stoppard's a playwright, and he writes, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Shakespeare is in love. All these things are works in which things are deconstructed there.
Okay.
he's deconstructing this crime. So there's a lot of layers going on, and I was really happy with that. It intrigued me. It kept me entertained throughout, even though you know what's going to happen because they tell you what's going to happen.
Sure.
Uh, I still liked where this whole thing ended up, and again, I'd love to see these two characters again. I know you didn't like it as much, but I really had a good time with see how they run.
Yeah, I enjoyed and I'm going to break it down into three acts like a play. And the first act I thought was incredible. I thought the editing was sharp. I thought the dialogue was quick. Everything had a purpose, and you had to really stay on your toes to figure out what was going on and what was being said. And it was linguistically complex, unnecessarily so, which was fun. And it brought us back to that time period visually, aesthetically, and linguistically as well. So that was a lot of fun. And then I felt like in the second act, it just kind of lost its pacing and its energy. And yes,
There's a shift in tone. There's
there
no
is.
question. There's a shift in tone. Yeah.
And I think it just kind of lost me in that second act, and it didn't intrigue me the same way. I think the narration by Adrian Brody's character decreased at that point, because that really tied in the whole concept of mousetrap with what was happening in this movie, those parallel lines that were drawn. And all of a sudden, I felt like the training wheels were taken off, and I wanted the training wheels put back on, because I wanted somebody to hold my hand and make those silly observations and those crazy parallel narratives obvious and fun to me. So I liked it. I thought that it needed a couple more rewrites, as we've always said. If anyone in Hollywood is listening and would like our services, we are for hire. We are not cheap, so hire us.
That's right.
We'll make your movie
we're
better.
Make it better. We'll make it better, no doubt about it.
And I really think that this had so much potential to be so much more, and I was disappointed overall. I did have fun in the beginning, and the end was exactly what I thought it would be. And you're right, though. I really like the idea of Saoirse Ronan and Sam Rockwell and their characters coming back together to solve more mysteries. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. Let's hope they do it. I doubt they will, because this is going to need to make a lot of money, which it won't, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I liked it more than you did. So, but two good mysteries this week, I think, anyway.
It's kind of cool. Two whodunits,
Yeah. So where are we headed now? More serious territory?
You know what? Before we hit serious territory, I would like to say who won 5 spa packages. We have winners, which is really cool. Okay, so something else that's coming out that I haven't seen yet, and I don't think you have either. It's on Amazon Prime. It opens up, I think, tonight or tomorrow. Good Night Mommy. It's a remake of the 2014 Austrian film about a mother who's had some plastic surgery. Her children come home to her country estate to visit and spend the summer with her. Mom is acting differently, a little too differently, and the boys begin to question whether or not this is really mommy. This is a psychological thriller. And as I said before, this is a remake and is now starring Naomi Watts. I have not watched it yet. I don't know how the remake is. But to celebrate the remake, we have 5 winners who are going to receive some really cool spa gifty package kind of thing. So let me tell you who the winners are. Are you ready, Chuck?
I'm unbated. I have bated breath. Please.
All right. I could tell. Annette McDonald-Jones, Tammy Howard, Kathy Hickey, Heidi Sliker Carter, and Beth Sowers-Sudlow. You 5 will receive a great little gift bag filled with goodies for celebrating mom, which are spa icons. So enjoy. And if you watch the movie on Amazon Prime, let us know what you think, and we will certainly let you know what we think when we see it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one next week, I think.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
What else is on our list? I've kind of lost track of things. It's been a crazy week, Chuck.
God's Country.
Oh, let's talk about that.
And the Silent Twins.
Ooh, let's talk about that. Oh my gosh, we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah. So take it away on God's Country.
All right, so let's take a look at who's in God's Country. God's Country was a part of the Sundance Film Festival. this year. And were you able to see it during that time, Chuck?
No, I caught it last week
Okay,
before it
all right. I
was
saw
released. Yeah.
half of it and then my link expired, so I didn't see the whole thing. So I rewatched the first half and obviously the second half. It stars Thandie Newton as Sandra, and she lives in a remote area, kind of out in the boonies, beautiful area of the country, and
Mhm.
she plays a professor at a local university. She has just lost her mother, who apparently had some sort of a debilitating disease, and she's now in this beautiful home out in the middle of nowhere existing. There are two people who come and hunt on her property. They park in her driveway, and that's Nathan, played by Joris Jarsky, and Samuel, played by Jefferson White. Um, what great casting, especially on Samuel. Somebody who just doesn't really give two shits about anybody else, and neither does Nathan. They feel entitled to be able to park wherever the hell they want to. And the fact that Sandra is female, and maybe because Sandra is an outsider and that she is obviously not white, maybe that has a lot to do with it as well, but they feel that they are entitled to be able to park wherever they want and do whatever they want to. She has, I don't want to say politely asked them not to park there, but she has definitely said, keep off my property and be respectful of the fact that you shouldn't park here without my permission. Man, this delves into sexism, racism, maybe even a little bit of animal rights and environmentalism. There is so much to unpack in this as she attempts to navigate this new life that she has, and then we find out a little bit about what her past life was when she feels attacked by these people who are invading her territory.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, and you have to be patient with it. This is a slow burn movie. Uh, I don't think this has anything to do with them parking on her land. That's something that triggers her. I mean, you're seeing. I think we're seeing a reaction to this character of long held resentments being pushed aside because of her race, because of her sex over the course of years.
Right.
And this is finally just bubbling up now, also because of the death of her mother. And when we find out more about the mother as well, which is so wonderfully done, the hints that we get,
Yeah. Oh
that
my
was just
gosh.
beautifully done,
Isn't it?
beautifully done. Um, you know, I remember my father telling me once he read about a couple who got divorced because the wife didn't like the fact that the husband kept the cap off the toothpaste. And he said, that's not about the cap off the toothpaste. It's the same thing here. There's, so much going on. And we see this because she's a college professor and they're trying to hire a new professor in the department she's in. And she insists that they need some more diversity, a person of color, maybe another woman. And of course, she's shut down there as well. And that's a breaking point. It's a really good performance because there's a
It is
lot underneath the.
incredible. It
Yeah.
really is. And you bring that up when they are meeting and discussing, and the other woman, one other
Yes.
woman besides her,
Yes.
white, brings up the fact that they need to really think about who they're bringing in. And she says it in a very delicate and kind
Right.
way. And to me, that's female communication. Why can't we just be a little bit more forward and direct? We have to take the pretty way and the softer way in order to bring our ideas to the table. That was beautifully and eloquently done. And
Yeah.
then the next time they meet and Sandra is shot down, you can just see her like pull back into herself. I mean, incredible performance to really show what it's like when you're in a room full of men and you're like one of the few females and you really want to get your point across and it's going nowhere.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
you do? Do you stand up and fight and you really make a scene, which she does do?
I was
But that
going to say
doesn't help her.
she does, and then what does that get her?
It gets her nothing.
Yeah.
But the crazy look, and oh, that's the crazy woman now.
What? Yeah. What a bitch.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the label then you get with that.
I mean, I think that beautifully articulates what probably every female has encountered.
Sure, sure. And like and there's that. And then there's the race thing, that
Right.
whole issue. And then also the fact that you alluded to this, she's an outsider.
Yes.
She is a stranger in a strange land there. The guy, her neighbor, who is also the head of the English department where she's at on
Whoa.
university, and wow, that guy, he's a piece of work. But he does allude to the fact that, well, this is just the way things are here,
Right.
you know.
And
And
doesn't
he has
that eloquently comes around full circle? I loved that.
right, but he does have a point.
Sure.
This is just the way it is. Yeah, you let him go, you hunt, it's no big deal. And it's a flaw. She makes a mistake in the way she handles that. I think because she's so angry and blinded by other things, and because she is an outsider,
I
she
think that,
shouldn't be there.
yeah.
You know,
But that's
uh,
really sad. And how many people try and find a place in a new environment and do feel like an outsider and are never accepted into that,
yeah,
and the obstacles
yeah.
that they come across. And this is devastating. Devastating.
And
I,
then the ending, of course, which we can't really talk about. I don't want to see you. I don't want to say you see it coming, but it's completely logical.
like I said, it comes full circle.
Yeah, it makes
They,
complete sense.
yeah, it does. I thought it was poetic.
Yeah. You when you go about trying to make change, when you go about trying to function, and you run up against one brick wall after another, and you've got to then act like those around you, you're left no choice.
Right.
And again, that's not to justify, but it's you understand it.
It is what it is. Yes.
Yeah.
I really loved this movie.
Yeah.
And as I watched the first half for a second time, which was actually kind of nice to be able to do that because it really set the tone, set the foundation firmly so that I could be prepared for the second half of it. And I think you used
Right.
the word contemplative. I think that's exactly the
Yeah.
perfect way to describe it. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah. Movie's called again God's Country. You can find that. I think it's an IFC film.
It is.
So you can find it on video on demand. Well worth watching, well worth seeking out. This is one that will stick with you for a while. It certainly stuck with me for a while.
I hope that we see this toward, I mean, we are getting close to Oscar time and awards time and Critics' Choice time. I hope that we see this in the running.
We won't, but I'm hoping that perhaps the Independent Spirit Awards.
There you go.
That's where it'll get recognized, and hopefully it will, because yeah,
Right.
they do a good job of casting a wide net, and certainly, if for nothing else, Newton's performance is really good. Yeah.
So what else did you say we have?
The movie that irritated you perhaps more than any other movie
Yes.
we've seen this year, a movie called The Silent Twins.
Giant Trench.
And it would have been much better had they followed this title. Had they truly been silent, I think things would have been much better overall. This is based on a true story of two twins, June and Jennifer Gibbons. And their parents, were they from the Bahamas, I think?
They were from a foreign country, Senegal,
I think they're from
maybe,
the
I don't know, something.
Bahamas, Senegal, something. And the parents had moved to Wales, where they had a family and these girls were born. And
I'm going to stop you for one quick second because I think that is a flaw right there in the movie versus what we learned. So continue on. I want to come back to that though.
because they didn't really give us that information.
No.
You're right. And that is a big problem with this movie is that we aren't given enough information or enough background about the family and
Right.
about these girls. And I was not aware of this term that you used to describe them. You call it self-mutism.
Selective mutism. Yeah.
Selective mutism.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't know why. We're not told, but these girls decide they're not going to talk except to each other, which they do when no one else is around. We see them as young girls doing like radio plays that they record on tapes. Then they decide they send away for a writing course, and they're going to write their stories. And but if anyone else is around, they don't talk. Whether they go to school, family gatherings, it doesn't matter. Not one peep. And they get some services. They are examined. Doctors look at them and they're like, well, there's not really a whole heck of a lot we can do. But then once they hit their teenage years, they embark on a career of petty crimes. They fall in with an American teenager, a boy, who leads them down a bad, bad path. Arson is involved, theft is involved,
Sex is
and
involved.
yeah,
Sex,
and
drugs.
yeah, which I didn't want to see.
Yeah.
And they are then committed to this English mental hospital called Broadmoor, and they stay there for 11 years. And that's really where their renown comes from, is the case that emerged because of their prolonged stay there and the abuse that they endured, not because of their writing. Yeah, this movie, the director, and I can't pronounce her name. She's a Polish director. Her name's Agnieszka Smozinska. She just kind of, I know what she's trying to do here. She's trying to make the viewer see the world as the girls see the world. But she drops us right into the middle of this from the beginning, and you don't know what's going on. And I think we both said at the end that we ended up having many more questions about what was happening than were answered.
Yeah. And Chuck Kaplinsky, really, you can't pronounce her name?
I know. This is well, why don't you give it a try then?
Agnieszka
That's what I said.
Schmog.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. I'm sure the
Whatever.
UN is calling for you to help with
I'm
translation.
German. What do you want? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this one is a super frustrating film for me for many different reasons, as a former speech language pathologist and as a film critic. It irritated the heck out of me. As a speech path, one of my first clients in a school was a child who chose to be mute. Generally, that is a psychological issue. That is psych and social work. That is a referral out. Let's see what's going on. It was the most frustrating case I think I have ever had in my entire life, besides one other aphasic patient that I worked with. Their speech drove me nuts. Okay, so this is where the director and writer really let everything fall through the cracks. When you go to Wikipedia to get information about something, and the Wikipedia page is more interesting than the movie, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
So what I learned was that these kids in this family moved from whatever foreign country it was. I don't remember what it was, but their accent was so heavy, no one could understand them. These girls had in this movie, and maybe they replicated the girls' language skills. They had some articulation issues along with a dialectical difference that made them very difficult to understand, which is why they shut down, they retracted, they pulled away from being able to communicate with other people, which is why they chose to not talk. That was not addressed in this movie at all. We don't know a lot about, we know that the family became frustrated by little pieces when the older siblings said, I'm sick of dealing with your shit. I hate the fact that you're not talking. You are you are making my life miserable. You're making mom and dad's life miserable. I cannot stand this. And that was that. But we needed
more of that.
We needed to know, where did this family come from? What were mom and dad trying to do? Why did they come here? Did they see these issues? What did they try and do? Because we only saw, it was a very narrow focal point. And yes, it is called the Silent Twins. We needed more than just the twins, because this was just depravity. This was just like, this was so frustrating to watch this movie unfold, because to me that it wasn't a story, and it was very frustrating.
Yeah, definitely one that again, doing this job, it's not like we're digging ditches. It's not like it's horrible stuff. But this one taxed my patience, and I was like, yeah, this is the type of thing that makes me want to go read a book.
Right. But sadly, this has a kernel of a great story to tell. Unfortunately, it wasn't told well. I mean, Robert Redford's thing: find a good story, tell it well, and then the rest is just gravy on top. He didn't
exactly right
that way, but
I know what you're talking about.
He was a little more eloquent than I am being.
Well, next week we're going to talk about a movie that a lot of people are talking about. Actually, they're not really talking about the movie.
No, they
Uh,
aren't.
they're talking about other stuff about the movie. Don't Worry, Darling, Olivia Wilde's. Gosh, how do we even term this thing? Uh,
Sophomore film. How about that?
sure, let's just go with that. Let's keep it general. Sophomore film. We'll talk about that next week. We'll both get to the Mother movie, Good Night, the Naomi Watts
Good night,
film.
mommy.
Good
Yep.
Night, Mommy. We'll get to that. And also, what else do we have next week? We might watch The Railway Children Return.
Actually, yes, I think either I or you and I have an interview coming up with one of the stars.
Someone's got an interview. Yeah. But yeah, I think we've got a lot to talk about as far as the Olivia Wilde film is concerned. A
We have
surprise to me
so much.
in a lot of ways.
And
A
I would
lot.
really like to share with audiences the experiences that we've gone through with our interview with Olivia Wilde that is not an interview with Olivia Wilde.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a
So
shame. That's a shame.
it is a shame. I really want to delve into this because I think this is truly an important film and an important event within the film industry and women at the helm. I think it's really
Right.
important to
And
talk about.
it's a big ripple effect on this one. And yeah, we'll delve into that next week then.
All right, that sounds good. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to Real Talk with Chuck and Pam. Please share. We would love to have you subscribe to realtalkwithchuckandpam.com. Take a look at our Facebook page as well. Of course, it's Real Talk with Chuck and Pam.
Look at that. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody.